So that's the last of the mountain things from the disc from Watercolour Secrets, and I'll be doing something else with that later on. And this is this was a really interesting lesson, and you might look at it and go, oh well, it looks kind of like crap, but it was interesting to do because it was very different. It was the lesson before in Watercolour Secrets, and it's you use a credit card or a razor or something like that to pull the paint, push the paint around.
It worked well. It looks really rocky.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it.
Oh, yeah.
And I like this one.
Well, that rock.
This one's awesome. This one took me like 3 seconds to do, and it's such an awesome technique. What you do is you use a candle, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And oh, James's meal.
Yeah.
So
civilized shish
kabobs.
kebab. No meat on it.
And Korean barbecue kabobs, because that's a Korean barbecue sauce. And
Okay.
anyway, it's butternut squash, plantain, and pineapple and mushroom. And
Yam here,
should be
right?
really good. Yeah.
Here. Healthy meal.
Blue Beetle got top of the stack, although it was crap. And Nancy Drew season 3. That's pretty bad. So there's Watercolour Secrets, and this is volume 1, and I have just finished volume 1 with what I've done here. So I'll be moving on to volume 2, but I'll get that from the library again. I returned it this morning, and I guess I guess they don't bring the stuff in necessarily first thing in the morning. Because I went there before it opened at 10, so I went there probably around 9:30 and put the stuff in the overnight box. And then I went to Shoppers to check out the sales, because I like to do that on Monday morning. And then I went back to the library because it was open by then, and I noticed that it was still on my account, the two things that the Watercolour Secrets Volume 2 and the other one. And so I talked to the person at the desk, and he said, well, we don't always empty it first thing in the morning anymore.
Weird.
And so
Every
he said,
time I've been there early,
I know, that's when they do it. But
I'm going to go grab a
fork. Sure.
I was almost asleep.
And so anyway, I'm not going to worry about it. He said, well, just check back tomorrow morning, and if it's still on your account, then we'll look for it or whatever. So, okay. Because I definitely want to go through the stuff, so I need it to go through the return process. I need them to find it so that I can get it back again. But I'm not going to worry about it, because I have other things like you see here. I still have to put my shadows under the rock, and I have to do some other things. I'm going to put some maybe fig tree or something in the sides, and maybe some finches or something. I don't know. And this one, I think I'm going to have a little lizard here, and some other stuff. You know, because I don't know about you, but my windowsills, I love to have. Somebody came and replaced my window once, and he was a friend, and he was very nice, and he didn't understand why I wanted a ledge in front of my window. Well, I put all sorts of things on there.
Yeah, kind of like
I love
trinkets.
it. Yeah. I love my knickknacks there. So it could be little feathers or seashells or little things, whatever. Lots of stones. Yeah.
Toys.
Sometimes
Little
toys.
cars.
Yep. I love planting my army men all over. Like if I'd hide them in behind the plants and stuff, and they had this little war
in the giant jungle.
Exactly. So I have a lot of fun doing things like that.
Those are the little plastic army men. They're usually green.
Yeah.
And color.
Yeah.
I always wanted a set of those when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents were pacifistic.
Yeah, well, my parents never bought me anything like that either. My dad did not approve of such things, right? And I'm sure your dad felt the same way.
Well, they never bought me any. Well, they might have actually. Well, I think they were hoping I'd grow out of it. But for the longest time, I wanted a gun and holsters, because this was the end of the 50s, and kind of shows I like. We moved to Canada in '59. That's when I was introduced to TV. Where things like Maverick and Have Gun Will Travel and Wagon Train, Bonanza. It's amazing how the Western just died. Huge in the 50s.
Yeah, it's weird because it was.
Or of course, you got a lot of stupid French intellectuals criticizing American Hollywood for Westerns. And I'm going, doesn't exist anymore. You guys are just living in another, frankly, century.
Anyway. Yeah, I forgot. I was going to put bell peppers on your kabobs too.
Yeah, this is plenty good. Yeah, this is fine. And the spiciness is provided by this Korean, you said?
Sauce, yeah, Korean barbecue sauce.
The Koreans get so many things right.
Oh, I was going to talk about my paintings. Okay, so I did this first, and actually I did this first before this one, even though this one comes earlier in the lesson. I watched both through first, a couple times actually. I watched these all a couple times, and then I got to work on it. And it's funny. I love listening to him. He'll say things like, yeah, he's like, this is a far better use for a credit card. And it is. It looks great.
I've never had a credit card in my life, and I've never gone broke.
Yeah. And
I don't think
it was
I've
a lot
even
of fun.
overdrawn at the bank.
I mean, I don't know why I bothered drawing out the hill, even in rough first, honestly, because I just...
It worked.
Pulled it around anyway. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And luckily I put, like he didn't, but I did. His were silver birch, and I don't even know what silver birch are. We don't have them here. So I'm gonna make it a paper birch. But I didn't want all of this mess getting onto there, so I put the masking fluid on the sides of the trunks, and it worked out. I didn't end up with a mess in there. And anyway, so yeah, I did that, and I was gonna try to practice this guy here a little bit and make it a little bit different, and it ended up being a lot different, not so good. It didn't work out really well, but you know what, I'll play around with it a little more. I found earlier, I thought, oh, once the sky is ruined, it's just ruined. But I found that if I let it dry and then I just put the water on, sometimes it gets better. So we'll see what happens. I'm not too worried about it. In any case, this is really, you're gonna see this, and how can you miss this, right? This black rock, and it's pretty impressive. And all I did to do the black rock is I took a candle. He says, that, like with these techniques, he says, there's another one. I haven't done that one yet, but I will.
Another technique?
Another technique for a rock. But I'll do it eventually. I just haven't done it yet, because I need to go buy some rock salt to do it. So, anyway, he said with these techniques, you want to do them occasionally, but not all the time, because the temptation is to do it all the time, because you're like, oh my gosh, this looks so cool, and it was really easy. But he says, like with this rock, with using the candle, he says with the candle wax, the paint won't stick anywhere you put the candle wax. So you just rub it in places, just a little bit, however you want. And then you can put black down, and it's not going to stick. No matter what you do, you can put whatever color you want. It's not going to stick to that wax. So, but another thing, if you want to do shadows or something, oh, well, you got that there, right? Your candle wax is there, and nothing's going to stick to it. So you're not going to be able to put that in. So I was kind of conscious of that while I was doing that, and I think it worked out. So, and same thing with the credit card thing. I was going to use a razor. He says, be careful with a razor because you might end up cutting your paper. And I thought,
you could cut yourself.
I don't want to do that. Well, I don't think I would anyway. But
I hate straight or those
so I thought,
razors.
well, I can just wash the
They call
car.
them safety razors.
So-
or whatever.
Anyway, but it's so funny because he has a picture like, in his video, he uses a cut up credit card. So he's showing, I cut it up. It's a piece. I hate
Yeah.
having a credit card, right? And that's what he's using is a cut up piece. And it's awesome, right? So it's a little joke that he has in there without having to say anything.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know. I like the way it kind of cauliflowers here with the shadows in
That
the clouds.
works.
I think it looks great. But I guess a lot of people wouldn't like all that bleeding in, but I sure do.
Sometimes clouds have that effect.
Sometimes they do.
Clouds are amazing.
And I think this worked out really nicely. I like this whole patchwork quilt feel to this landscape. And I really look forward to putting other things, around. There'll be some things on the window ledge, because they always are at my house. Always have been. Anywhere I go, all sorts of things, bells, whatever, end up there. Let's see if I can see anything in here. It's just a mess. Just a mess in my windowsill. But anyway, so I really enjoyed this morning's work. It was fun playing with paint, and I noticed that the library has a contest, a coloring contest for kids this Christmas, and they have one for adults. So if you want to get out the pencil crayons and color up a snowstorm, then
Hopefully they'll judge the stuff objectively, not based
they're
on.
probably just going to draw.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I could just put like a little bit of, and then hand it in, and I'd probably get just as much a chance as. I don't think they'll.
That's good.
Yeah. But they picked out. They said an artist drew this design, and I'm like, why? For an art contest for adults, why even have? They would have paid somebody to make some coloring contest picture, and it's ridiculous.
I
right?
know, it'd be one of their friends.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, Blue Beetle. So I really liked. I think it's his uncle. The big hero's uncle has like a mullet and this long beard in the front, so it's long in the back and long in the front, right? And anyway, he was a funny character, and just to look at was great, right? So I don't like his family at all. It's really
The Blue Beetles fan.
yeah, his family is
Screwed up.
yeah, like he has to protect this scarab thing, and he's not supposed to open the box. He's not supposed to touch it. And of course, his family, like, he's obeying the woman who has given him this thing for safekeeping, and his family, they're not. They just do whatever they want. And like his little sister got him and like herself and him fired from their job because she wanted to use the fancy washroom rather than the staff washroom, right? And she would, yeah, and just so yeah, she just does whatever she wants, and so her family, they're like doing this pig in the middle thing with him, and it's awful. They're an awful family, and we're supposed to leave with this message, oh yeah, family, you're stronger with your family and everything, and it's great to have, because they have different kind of personalities and different skill sets, whatever. But you know what? I don't feel that. I watch this and I'm like, yeah, he's a good guy, I think, but he would be better without his family and with some other people that were better people with different skill sets or something, but not his family.
Sometimes
they're awful.
families can be a drag.
Yeah. I mean, they add some comic value or whatever to the movie, I guess, but for me, I'm so turned off by them. I can't even really find the stuff that funny, And honestly, this wasn't as long as I expected, because it's a superhero thing, so let's see if I can find that on here. 127 minutes, so that's not that long. I mean,
I'm
for a
trying to
superhero thing.
place where the Blue Beetle came from. Was it one of those alternative things that came out during the 80s and 90s, or was it one of the old things that was... there were other comic books besides Marvel, comic book companies besides Marvel and DC. And in the 80s, I collected a lot of comics. Comic collectors, we couldn't believe me, because I'd go in and buy the 10-cent things that kids had scribbled over and stuff like that. I was interested in the story. And maybe a little bit in the art and stuff like that, but you can see the art. To me, it's not. I don't understand people collect stuff that and put it on the shelf. And,
Well, I don't know why people outsource their creativity to other people. Sit down with a paintbrush, start playing around. Why would you outsource playing? James was talking about this pitcher, baseball pitcher, who's
O'Shea Ohtani?
There you go.
Big Valley. That's what his name means in,
that's a great name.
Japanese. O means big. Tani
Yeah.
means valley. I presume together it means big valley.
But yeah, I don't know why people pay huge amounts of money to other people to play for them.
Get a life.
Honestly.
Dude
like, I
is
can
getting
understand
paid
when...
$700 million, not $1,000, over 10 years. $70 million each year.
Yeah, so honestly,
What?
I don't get it. I don't
He's
get it.
not
I mean,
worth it.
I can see when businessmen or whatever will outsource hard labor or
skilled labor. They might not have the skills.
they might not have the skills. But playing, why would anybody outsource playing? Yet you do it. And you'll be there doing hard labor. And you'll be there doing jobs that you don't want to do, like cleaning toilets or whatever, so that you can pay somebody to play for you? Really? Why? I don't understand. Anyway,
I think
that's
I've
the
only been
world.
to 2 professional games in my life.
Yeah, and I mean, and then it's all of us too. Because then all of a sudden you hear the owner of the Saddle Dome crying, oh, we need to fix the Saddle Dome because it's a really crappy design and never should have been built that way. And
It's not fixed. Smash it down and
Yeah.
put it new. Now, I think that's going to cost the Alberta taxpayers something like $1 billion.
there you go. So I'm having to pay for other people to play.
I should say
The
that
government has
taxpayers-
decided that, oh yes, we're going to make our taxpayers have to pay to outsource playing to other people. That's ridiculous.
And I said the Alberta government, I think the whole thing will cost nearly $1 billion, but it's not like, I think the private enterprise is paying for some of it. The city of Calgary would be paying for some of it, a lot of it.
And,
And
well,
then the
I
Alberta
talked
government,
about the-
I have no interest in watching a Flames game. Never will. I've been to, I should say I've been to 3 games. Every time it was at the, like one time my brother, he knew I was interested in
Well,
soccer. He bought me
honestly, a lot of
ticket.
people like sports, and if you want to outsource playing to somebody else, that's fine, but I don't.
You pay for
and
it.
other people
Don't
like
get other people
the
to
library
pay for it.
coloring book contest or coloring contest. I'm really quite sure that they would have paid for that artist to make a coloring book page for people to
Out of your pocket, my pocket.
yeah, that's ridiculous. That shouldn't be. And I love the arts. You can see I love painting. And I think everyone should do it. Everyone should get the chance to play.
It is playing.
But
It
you
is playing.
shouldn't
Sports and
you
art.
shouldn't be forced to outsource playing to other people while you work That's not right. Because this is playing. And the baseball pitcher, he's playing. And
he's playing so hard that he's actually had to have 2 Tommy John surgeries.
yeah.
So what that is basically, from what I can tell, an artificial, I think it's the elbow. They just put an artificial elbow. And he's only been pitching, at least in the American majors, for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
You know, they say, oh, he's better than Babe Ruth. And I'm going, are you kidding? Babe Ruth, if he'd blown out his elbow,
Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to get an artificial. Exactly.
They
there
call
you
it
go.
Tommy John surgery. And Tommy John, I don't know if he even saw the 60s. And that's not the 1860s. Maybe the 70s. So that's when that was developed, I think.
But yeah, there should be no public funding going to the arts. There should be no public funding going to sports at all. At all.
I sometimes wonder about classical music and stuff like that, or Shakespeare productions. Even then, you know, if people don't want to see the stuff, pay for it. It shouldn't be put on. It should not be put on back on.
Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of people who would set up not-for-profit funding for things like that because they really care about that sort of thing.
Well,
So
you
let
know,
them.
there is a tradition in the United States, a strong tradition, the Carnegie family, the, what is it, Hearst family? Yeah. A lot of the images you get on the internet are compliments of Hearst. They've got a big museum, like a photo museum, northwest of Los Angeles and stuff like that. And I think there was a tradition of British philanthropy too. So, rich people, they should fund stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Drew season 3.
Oh, you got up to season 3?
So far, yeah. And honestly, this one wasn't as bad as season 2.
Is that Nancy Drew there?
It is.
Okay. She kind of looks the way Nancy Drew should look. Not like that silly fool that had playing Nancy Drew in the 70s.
Anyway, it's still not worth watching, but
There you go.
if you're getting you want to get a lot of artwork done, well, you don't want to be watching TV while you're drawing out your window frames or whatever you have in your painting. So, we'll see if that stays. So anyway, this,
Then you can go with Nancy
yeah,
Drew.
you can stick this on and you won't care that you're missing watching this while you're drawing out your sketch for your watercolor pictures. And there you go. That's oh, and of course this is top of the stack. This is so top of the stack of almost any stack. It's great.
So float house, it's related probably to our word float. I think they said float house.
What are you coming?
The name of the guy.
No, that isn't this guy.
It isn't?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is Watercolour Secrets. This is a different thing.
Different fellow? Okay. But at any rate, the other one.
Yeah.
Float house. I always want to say F because the Germans do that, but I don't think the Dutch do. Anyway, it means navy, or it can mean to float, kind of like, I suspect it means raft.
Mm.
So what would a raft house be? I think it's a boat house. It's a Dutch thing. So,
All right.
in German, it's Flotte and Floss. Flosse.
And honestly, when I was making those kebabs, I was thinking, like, I just fried it in the pan, and I had roasted the butternut squash earlier.
Oh, that's what.
So I fried the plantains in the pan. But I was thinking, I was putting them together, and I thought, I bet you I could stick this whole skewer in a deep fry and do it.
Yeah.
I bet you it'd
Would
work.
that save a lot of time, or? Because this would have
I think
taken
it would
quite
save
a-
some time.
Mm.
And plus, that way you could make all your skewers, like you could stick them together ahead of time and put them in the fridge, and then if you're having a Christmas party or something like that, then you could deep fry the things really quick before, just before people get there, and then it'd be
freshly fried.
freshly, yeah,
If that isn't enough.
good and hot, and anyway, whatever. Do you have anything to talk about?
Yeah, I don't understand how people can get so tied up with sports, like when they grow up.
Yeah.
Well, I was hardly duty in the sports when I was a kid. And a teenager. I can remember watching Canada play Czechoslovakia, 1972, fall of. Canada had just barely won the series, Summit Series, I think, in 72 against the Russians. Mm-hmm. The Russians were very well prepared, including all the hijinks they had to keep the Canadians awake in their hotels and stuff like that, and to mess around. The Canadians turned up for the practice, and the rink wasn't clear. They were having some figure skating lessons with kids there. And a couple of the less sensitive Canadians started doing slap shots, and that cleared the ice. I wouldn't have done it, but what the hey. So the Russians were very well prepared. They had this whole agenda to try to make it so the Canadians would have trouble sleeping, trouble practicing and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of the Canadians went into it like the traditional NHL All-Star game. What the hey, who cares? So it was the beginning of the season, so they weren't in shape. They had to play themselves into shape. At that point in time, they were way better than the Russians, and I think even now, Canadian system would be better than the Russians. The Russians were playing together year round. The Canadians they were testing out lines and stuff like that. One line they went with was the Rattel line. Jean Rattel, Rod Gilbert, and Vic Hadfield. And it wasn't working out. So they weren't playing Vic Hadfield. They might not have been playing the line that much. And then Vic Hadfield went home to Canada in a huff. Hey Vic, you're still alive, shame on you. But, they tried a guy called Dennis Hull. They couldn't play Bobby Hull, his older brother. But Dennis Hull had a shot, Rod Gilbert had a shot, and John Rattel was kind of like a epigone for Jean Beliveau, but he wasn't much of a step down from Jean Beliveau. And Jean Beliveau actually, they say he was a slick playmaker, but I think he held onto the puck too much. I think he only won the league scoring title once in his whole lifetime. A guy called Dickie Moore, no one's heard of him nowadays, but I think he won more than Jean Beliveau scoring titles. He played with Jean